Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military with Summary channel. In this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about the United States of America, where according to media, the President of the United States of America issued an ultimatum. If Iran doesn't fully open without the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours from this exact point in time, the United States of America will hit and obliterate their power plant, starting with the biggest one first. So this statement and this ultimatum was published right after we saw pictures from the southeastern parts of Israel. According to media, during the previous nights, the Iranians attacked the southeastern parts of Israel with heavy ballistic missiles. In this video, we can see damage to civilian infrastructure in the city of Dimona, southern Israel, after an earlier Iranian ballistic missile impact. In this video, we can see the moments when the Iranians attacked the city of Dimona with their ballistic missile, and furthermore through this video we can see the moments when the Israelis were trying to bring down this ballistic missile with their air defense forces. And not according to official sources, lots of casualties were recorded in this area. Furthermore, the Iranians attacked the city of Arad, which is located a bit to the northeast of the city of Dimona. According to official sources, also lots of casualties among civilians were recorded. As you can see, as a result of attack on the city of Arad, the destructions were recorded through objects of civilian infrastructure. And here we can see the moments of impact, the moment of impact. Here we can see the moments when the Iranians attacked the city of Arad with a heavy ballistic missile. As you can see, there was a very heavy explosion. The Iranians are saying that they attacked the southeastern part of Israel because the coalition during the previous 48 hours attacked object of nuclear infrastructure in the area of the city of Natanz. We are talking about this object of nuclear infrastructure. During the previous days we discussed the situation, but the thing is that according to the Iranian position, they were trying to hit this nuclear facility, Negev Nuclear Research Center, which is located 12 kilometers from the settlement of Dimona. But according to information we have, overnight we haven't received anything that can confirm that the Iranians managed to hit this nuclear research center. But at the same time, we received lots of updates of destructions and casualties from the cities of Dimona and Arad. So this is the reason, this is not the only reason, but probably this is the most important reason why the United States of America issued an ultimatum. But from the other side, we start receiving report that Trump's administration is beginning to plan for potential peace talks with Iran, though fighting is expected to continue for a few more weeks. Any deal would require reopening the Strait of Hormuz, limiting Iran's nuclear and missile programs, and ending support for regional groups. But as we discussed during the previous videos, the Iranians have already rejected these demands of the United States of America, and the Iranians have their own list of demands. So Iran demands for ending the war, guarantees not to repeat the war, the closure of all US military bases in the Middle East region, the US and Israel to pay full compensation to Iran, US and Israel to end wars on all fronts in the region, including on all pro-Iranian groups, impose a new legal regime on the Strait of Hormuz, hand over elements from hostile media to Iran. So most likely these demands would be rejected by the coalition, by the United States of America and so on, which means that the conflict will continue. As for the current situation, the Strait of Hormuz is blocked and currently nobody can pass this territory. So this morning this video was published by different sources where we can see the current status of the Strait of Hormuz over the previous 24 hours, and as you can see according to this video, not even a single vessel or tanker managed to cross this territory, which is under complete control of the Iranian side. We are talking about fire control. But as we discussed during the previous video, it seems that different companies and enterprises managed to find a solution how to cross the Strait of Hormuz. For these purposes, they need to receive permission from the Iranian side and probably to pay them a fee. And the second thing, they must make all transactions for oil, for this oil in Chinese yuan, which obviously is something that the United States of America will never accept as well. At the same time, we start receiving reports from Saudi Arabia. It seems that Riyadh is planning to join the coalition. Saudi Arabia noticed to the military attaché of the embassy of Iran, his assistants, and 3 members of the mission to leave the country within 24 hours. This is something like the preparation before war declaration. The kingdom will not hesitate to take the necessary measures to preserve its sovereignty, maintain its security, and protect its territories. Another important thing, members of the Iranian diplomatic mission are not welcome and must leave. Another important thing, Saudi Arabia orders Iranian embassy staff to leave the country within 24 hours. So it seems that Saudi Arabia is preparing itself to join the coalition and to begin open clashes with the Iranians, because most likely Saudi Arabia will join the ground operation, and it seems that the forces of Saudi Arabia could be used to land on the Iranian side of the Strait of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf, which is the most possible development of the situation. Another important update is that during the previous nights, according to information we have, another fighter jet F-16 of Israel was damaged by the Iranian air defense forces in the area of the city of Isfahan. This information was provided by pro-Israeli and pro-Iranian sources as of the morning of the 22nd of March of 2026. This information hasn't been officially confirmed by the Israelis. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in Ukraine. The Russians and the Ukrainians continue clashes along the line of combat contact, and during the previous 12 hours, the map has been adjusted. According to information we have, overnight the Ukrainians launched another massive drone attack deep inside of the territory of the Russian Federation using hundreds of drones. Pro-Russian sources stated that up to 180 drones were recorded across the southern regions of the Russian Federation. As of the morning of the 22nd of March, we haven't received anything that can confirm that Ukrainians managed to deal significant damage or to destroy at least anything. From the other side, we received lots of videos and lots of updates of Russian massive attack that also took place overnight. The sources are saying that the Russians used 139 drones overnight, and the Russians continue attacking objects of energy infrastructure and logistic infrastructure of Ukraine. Several explosions and several fire anomalies were recorded in the area of the city by the name of Trebuchiv. Here we have a fire anomaly. It seems that something like an ammo depot was destroyed. Another fire anomaly and explosions were recorded in the city of Brovary. Some warehouse was damaged or even maybe destroyed by the Russian drone. Few explosions were recorded in the city of Zaporozhye, and not just videos with fire anomalies, we have pictures. These pictures were published this morning. Local sources report that the strikes hit energy infrastructure. More precisely, this substation was attacked by Russians in the central part of the city of Zaporozhye, and this video was published later by pro-Russian sources. Here we can see the moments when the Russians were attacking this object of energy infrastructure using hundreds or dozens of drones, and as you can see, as a result of these attacks, this object of energy infrastructure was critically damaged. As of now, the local sources are saying that problems with energy supply and power outages were recorded on the territory of the city and the region. Meanwhile, both the Russians and the Ukrainians continue clashes in the Zaporozhye direction, and during the previous night, the map has been adjusted significantly. This morning, pro-Russian sources published this video where we can see another attempt to counterattack from the Ukrainian side in the Zaporozhye direction. Here we can see a vehicle of the armored forces of Ukraine that was moving through the fields of Zaporozhye region in the direction of the cities of Rovnopolye, Novospinovska, and Uspinovska. So these attacks carried out by Russians on Ukrainian vehicles were recorded at this point. This is the northern point of the city of the village of Salotka. So, and this is not the first video from the Zaporozhye direction, so that is why we decided that the Ukrainians most likely have stronger control that we used to think and used to believe. So that is why we decided to adjust the gray zone by removing red territory from this area. So these are the changes on the ground between the dates. Now we understand understand that most likely this area is a very big gray zone where both the Russians and the Ukrainians have their presence, but we see that the Ukrainians are strengthening their positions in this region, which means that if we continue receiving updates and videos from this area with attacks and hits on Ukrainian positions, then we will start coloring this territory under the yellow color, which means that Ukrainians are improving their positions further. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the Dobropolye direction. During the previous night, additional changes on the ground were recorded. The Russians are keeping advancing in the direction of the village of Sergeyevka. This information overnight was provided by neutral mappers. The Russians are about to enter the settlement from the southeast. These are the changes on the ground. Furthermore, the Russians improved their positions along M30 road. This information was provided, as you can see, by pro-Ukrainian sources. They have adjusted and expanded the gray zone in this region, and the Russians began advancing in the direction of the villages of Novoandreevka, Shevchenka. So the Russians began advancing to the territory to the south of the settlement of Dobropolye. So these are the changes in this area, and we have a video where we can see how Russians were attacking positions of the armored forces of Ukraine on the territory of the settlement of Chernikovka, which means that this was something like an artillery preparation, and it seems that in coming days the Russians will try to improve their positions either in the area of the settlement of Belitska, or they will try to keep to move further in the northwestern direction to attack the settlement of Chernigovka from the south, with the purpose to outflank the settlement of Belitska, to cut logistic lines, and then to begin clashes for the city itself. As for the Konstantinovka direction, during the previous night, we received interesting updates. As you can see, the map has been adjusted significantly in the area of the city of Chasiv, and this is exactly what we were talking about during the previous videos about another counter-offensive operation from the Ukrainian side. During the previous 12 hours, several sources confirmed that the Ukrainians launched a counter-offensive operation in the direction of the southern parts of the city of Chasiv, and as a result of this counter-offensive operation, the Ukrainians managed to recapture the village of Chervone and two micro-districts of the city of Chasiv itself, the Shevchenka micro-district and the Yuzhny micro-district. Based on these reports and based on the different mappers, we have adjusted the map. As you can see, we have colored these territories as a gray zone because yesterday pro-Russian sources stated that these attacks were repelled and the Ukrainians were forced to fall back from this territory. So let's keep this gray zone and let's wait and see what is going to happen next. As for the Slaviansk direction, during the previous night, additional changes were also recorded. The Russians, according to information we have, managed to improve their positions to the north of the settlement of Lipovka, and as we can see, according to these changes, the Russians are advancing in the direction of the settlement of Raya Alexandrovka. Furthermore, the Russians began advancing from the village of Kalenovki in the western direction towards this big, huge forest, which is located to the east of Nikolaevka, and the Russians began bombing and attacking the territory of forest. During the previous days, another group or temporary deployment point of the armored forces of Ukraine on the western part of the forest was recorded, and when the Russians recorded this position, they began bombing and attacking this territory. Another important thing is the northern parts of the Donetsk region. According to pro-Ukrainian sources, during the previous 48 hours, a very big offensive operation from the Russian side was recorded. The Russians used up to 500 soldiers, around 30 heavy vehicles, including tanks and infantry fighting carriers, and up to 80 light vehicles like motorcycles and so on, with the purpose to break through Ukraine's defense in this area and to establish complete control over additional territories, with the purpose to get the river of Oskol. I would like to remind you that several days ago the Russians damaged the Oskol dam, this one that Ukrainians use for the logistic purposes, and as soon as the Russians destroyed this dam or significantly damaged, the Russians began this major offensive operation. And probably we have a video, we will receive additional updates from these areas. Of now very difficult to understand whether the Russians managed to break through Ukraine's defense or not. The Ukrainian sources are saying that the Russians were stopped, but it seems that the Russians will repeat their attempts because it is a very important thing for Russians, as we discussed during the previous videos, to establish complete control over the territory, over the forest between the rivers of Oskol and Seversky Donetsk. We're talking about this territory. This will allow the Russians to improve their positions significantly in the southern Borova direction and in the direction of MO3 road that connects the cities of Slaviansk and Kharkiv. As for the northern directions, during the previous 24 hours, this morning more precisely, the Russians and the Minister of Defense and the group of forces north stated that the Russians, as a result of clashes, established complete control over the settlement by the name of Potapovka. These are the changes on the ground between the dates. The Russians are keeping advancing in the most northern parts of the Sumy region, and we see that as of now the Ukrainians are not showing big resistance. And that's it for the short video. The Military with Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.